Okay, this is episode 2, part 1. Um, my video for episode 2, and I will be folding my laundry during this video because won't have other time otherwise to do it. So if I'm moving around, it's because I'm folding my laundry. Okay, here we go. Hey, high school. Oh my gosh. Okay, so she okay, so my first question, I don't know why the first one's in bold, but it says Miss Stovall is having trouble dealing with cell phones in her classroom. At what grade level you teach? How will you handle cell phones? So yeah, then it says yes, even in kindergarten, blah blah blah. So I want to teach kindergarten, um, and I think that I will make it clear from the beginning with students, like with students' parents, because especially in kindergarten, like the parents are super highly involved, obviously, with the kids, and like how they're doing in school and everything, and like the teachers are very directly in contact with the parents and everything. So I would make it very clear to the parents, like from the start, like if your child has technology that isn't like needed in the classroom, then just leave it at home or leave it off in a locker or a backpack or whatever. But that if it disrupts class, then I will follow the school's policies on whatever it is. I don't know, like my high school's policy. My mom actually worked in the office, so I never even bothered with this. Was trying to get in trouble with the phone, but if you were on your phone or if it even went off, whether that was in the hallway, whether that was in the classroom, wherever you were, the phone was automatically confiscated, sent to the office, put in a bag in the office, which went to my mom, so I did not even test the limits there because I'm more scared of my mom than I am of any school rules. um, and we would have to go to detention that day after school. No exceptions or anything unless like you got sick or whatever. And so that was like my high school's policy with cell phones. And like so I don't know. I feel like so like I would tell the parents that no cell phones are tolerated in the classroom because the only reason I ever carried my phone in high school is like if there was an emergency. I did carry my phone on me all the time in high school. I have type 1 diabetes, so I always had to have a purse with me, which was allowed in my high school. Purses were allowed, but backpacks weren't. But I always had like carbs, like juice or like candy with me, or like my medicine and stuff that I need in my purse with me. So I also always kept my keys in my phone because like with high school, like with violence in high schools these days and stuff, my mom especially works in the office. I've always had at least one or two siblings in high school with me at the same time. So there's at least 3 people in my family or more at any given time in my high school. So like if anything was to happen, I would want to make sure I could get a hold of them. So my phone was always off. It was always in my purse. I never once took it out. Never once got in trouble for it. And so I think, but that's I feel like that's the only good reasoning for students to have cell phones. But they have to be mature enough to be able to not go on it all day or like go to the bathroom and like Snapchat people or whatever it may be. And kindergartners are not mature enough to be able to like stay off their phones, like if they have it. I don't even know why they would have technology. It's kind of weird, but if they do for whatever reason, I don't think that they're like naturally mature enough yet to be able to like be disciplined with it and stuff. So I would have a no tolerance policy. Plus, if there was any sort of emergency or anything, the school has things in place, like procedures in place on what to do and everything. And it's not like the students, again, they're kindergartners, so they would not, I don't think they would be like mature enough to like make a whole new plan as like where a high schooler could to stay safe from a school shooter or a fire or like whatever sort of emergency situation the school was in. So I wouldn't allow technology in my class or anywhere near it because of these reasons. And I would tell what could you recommend to Miss Stovall about her particular situation or what might you say to her? I would say to look into this. I feel like the school must have like some sort of cell phone policy, like in the handbook. And if there's no way they don't. So like go look at the school's policy, talk to an administrator about it. That's what I would tell her if she can't get under control in her own classroom, or like just to honestly like do something about it. Like she was just like kind of letting it go, like and just like get off your phone and like didn't really like take initiative on it. Like I think she should have. And so because of that, I feel like I just feel like she wasn't doing enough or really anything at all. And so I would tell her to like to try to do something about it. If they still don't listen, like that's the reason they're not listening is because she's not implementing any rules or there's no consequences in her classroom. So I would just say to follow through with it and make some consequences. And if it still doesn't work, then just follow the school's policy on cell phones because I'm sure the school has a policy. And if they don't, then that's something she could talk to the principal and or superintendent or whoever about is making a policy to help in situations like hers. Diane says the students are like throwing stuff at each other. They're not respecting Miss Stovall. They're not respecting each other. They're not respecting the classroom. And that they're just being like wild. There was a kid that threw, I think it was like a book or something, or like a stapler or something across the classroom, and I think it was Keyshawn, or maybe it was another kid that looked like him, but they were like throwing stuff around the classroom. They were answering phones, and when she told them to get off their phones, they would like backtalk her, and it was like all like lighthearted and kind of joking, it seemed like, but it's not a joke. It was just disrespectful. And then those are a couple examples. They were also talking like wouldn't sit in their seats or whatever. How would you deal with this whack-a-mole disruption in your classroom? Whatever grade level you're going to teach. Again, kindergarten. I think that kindergartners, like, I feel like they're young enough that most of them don't just act out to act out. Like, there's some sort of reason. They're not doing it like I feel like there's some sort of reason. Like, they can't sit that long because they are young kids. And I don't believe human beings are wired to be sitting for that long. And I think that's kind of messed up that, well, I think that's like why there's like recesses and stuff I think that's so important. But like, I mean, like I can't even sit long. I can't even sit still right now. So I don't know how kindergartners are supposed to sit for like 6 to 8 hours a day, like just learning about stuff that they probably don't even really care about, to be honest. So I think that to deal with that in my kindergarten classroom someday, I am going to make it so like the kindergartners are like active and stuff, so that like they can get that energy out. Like if they have a bunch of cooped up energy and that's what's making them act out, which I feel like is the most common reason in young kids like that. I would have them like I would incorporate movement into the lessons, and I would also implement some sort of thing like when the lights go off, you sit down and find your chair and like walk to it, or like I would have some sort of thing also that was like our signal, like our sign for okay, it's time to calm down, and I would teach them that from the first day of school. So then by a few weeks into the school year, they got it down like pros, and they understand that when the lights go off, or when I clap 3 times, or whatever it may be, this is what needs to happen. And I think that by just like continuously teaching them that, and that can like help them to like get it better, I guess. Whereas like in Miss Stovall's room, she just doesn't seem to have any sort of discipline or procedures in place. And like I think that's her biggest problem, is that she just lets everything go. And I think that you need to start off, especially in the beginning of the school year, like being more strict, because if you don't, then they're just going to start to walk over you more and more as the school year goes on. So yeah, I would avoid the whack-a-mole thing by like having more movement so the kindergartners could get their energy out. And if there is some sort of issue still, if there's like a couple problem students that like are having issues at home, for example, and they don't get that attention at home, so they strive for it at school by acting out, then like I would talk to the parents about it. I would try to give that kid extra attention like when it was appropriate, not just in the middle of class. Like I would try to like go to them after class and like have a conversation with them, or like whatever it may be. Miss Stovall's hat policy is no hats in the classroom. Kishan did not take his hat off when he's asked when immediately asked what are the positives. Not taking off his hat when right. Oh, the positives to not making him, I feel like, is so that he doesn't like try to push back, because I feel like he seems like the kind of student where if you were to push by like saying like right now take it off and being super insistent like that, then he would probably push back, is what it seemed like. And the negative consequences to not making him take it off right when he was asked to do so was that I think that it was giving him too much time, too much leeway to think it's okay to do that in the future. Like because she didn't shut it down right away, then he's going to think, oh, it's okay. So he's also going to start thinking he started writing his own doctor's note, which is ridiculous, obviously. I think she should have handled the situation by making him take it off, and like she only asked him one time and he didn't, and he started making stuff up or whatever, and she said, I would like to see the doctor's note. She knew he didn't, okay, like she didn't 100% know he didn't have a doctor's note, but like odds are he didn't. So I think if she was going to ask to see it, if he didn't have it right then and there, then she should have told him, you need to take it off until you can find me a doctor's note. That's what I would say. Is if that's what he's going to say, she has no proof he doesn't have a doctor's note technically. So I would say, okay, well, please take it off until you have a doctor's note, because I need to see it in order for you to wear it. That's what I would say. I think zero tolerance policies, I think for certain things are definitely good, because I think blanket rules are very necessary depending on the type of students you have, because if you give one leeway, then the other one's going to want leeway too. When that one that you gave it to might be able to handle it and might be responsible and mature enough to handle it, whereas the other student that is going to just do it too because they're equal and it's fair, is going to take advantage of you for that and take advantage of the situation. So I think zero tolerance policies are very necessary. I would definitely use them in my classroom for certain things. Like I would definitely do it for like cell phones and stuff. For things like dress code and everything, I would do that too, because like if there was a guy wearing a hat, but like then everybody's going to start wearing hats if I let him, even if he's being responsible about it and there's nothing wrong with it. I don't see anything wrong with it. If it's a school rule to not wear a hat, I'm going to make sure that nobody wears a hat, because if you give in to one student, you're going to have to give in to all of them, because it's not really fair to make it like situational. There are other things though, however, that I think are situational, like if you have athletes in your class and they have a game that night, if it's like Friday night or Friday at school and you have a bunch of football players in the class and you're not supposed to have water in your classroom, or that's like generally your rule, then like if they have a game that night and they come to you and they say, hey, can I drink this water in class so that I stay more hydrated because it's 95 degrees outside and I don't want to cramp up during the game later, then I think that's more appropriate to not have that complete blanket rule. But I definitely think with things that are very like black and white, zero tolerance rules are important, and I would use them for sure. Like cell phones, um, like dress code things. What else? Just like disrespecting another student. I know it's kind of situational, but I like won't let I won't let people like be sarcastic and joke around, especially towards the first day of school, because then like that could lead to just like giving in a little bit would just be like more and more until it's just blatant disrespect sometimes, and like bullying or like teasing somebody. Why would a classroom or school want to have them? Just because, again, like I said, if they give into a certain student or they give into a certain situation, then other students are going to be like, well, this is the same in their situation and mine. Why can't I do it? When really, like, it might be the same exact situation, but the only thing that's different about it is that that student isn't mature enough to be able to take that, to have that slack and that leeway, whereas one other student is. Like, one isn't, one is. So I think that's like a good thing about like blanket rules or zero tolerance policies is that it's a blanket rule. Everyone has to follow it. It's very black or white. So then you don't get those gray areas that can cause controversy, that can political issues can come into that. People can start saying, well, it's just because I'm this or just because I'm that, when really it's just because it's a school policy. The potential positive outcomes, I think, is just a more like uniform system. I think that like if you have a more uniform system, then students, if you lay it out very clearly by having a zero tolerance policy for things, there's not going to be questions of, oh, is this okay or is this not? And students are going to know how to act from the get-go, and they're going to know, okay, this is black or white, so I need to choose the black or the white, and I should probably choose the right one. Whereas, like, if it's like a conditional rule, like you can only do this if this or that, then they're going to start to argue and they're not going to know what's okay. And the more clarity there is in rules, I think the better they can be followed, because sometimes you'll have the people just genuinely not understanding the rule completely and like making an innocent mistake, like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought that this counted for me to be able to do this or whatever. But then you have the people that'll be like, will say that when really it wasn't just a genuine like thing. It was just like them wanting to wear the hat when they know they shouldn't have or whatever. Some potential negative consequences are that like then everybody's kind of put on the same level of like maturity or like ability to follow rules, whereas like you might have some really responsible student who's being put on the same, who's being kind of like grouped into all the other students, or you might have the really bad student who isn't responsible who's being grouped with the good students. It's kind of grouping people together based on like the same level of maturity. So some students might have to like might be too mature for those rules, and some might not be mature enough. So like I think that that's a hard thing. Yeah, and like if you let something slide, then like you're gonna have to start letting everything slide. Cubs gear. How can you wear Cubs gear and Cardinals gear? First of all, go Cards. Second of all, is this even a real question? I don't know how he can either. He's a fake fan. That's my answer to that question. Okay. That's so funny.
Because he's so outgoing.
Isn't this school in Chicago?
Uses that to manipulate the class in a way that I wish he wouldn't.
So disrespectful. Interesting though, he took off the hat a few seconds after she actually walked away. They started talking about whatever they were talking about in the class again. He removed the hat once that focus wasn't on him anymore, which is like obviously everybody knew that he just wanted the attention. But it's just like I just thought that was funny. When the attention wasn't on him anymore, he removed the hat, which is why I feel like another thing she could have done better is not called him out in front of everybody, because that's exactly what he wants. He wants that attention, and that's what she was giving him. So she was just feeding his disrespect. I feel like by doing that. Honestly, I think she could have also even just like waited till after class, or asked to like call them up while there's like a silent like study time or whatever, and been like, hey, do you mind removing your hat? And, like doing it like quietly, or like just waiting till after the class is over and then addressing it then, just so that he didn't get that attention that he wanted, because that's exactly why he was making a scene about it. He didn't care about the hat that much. He just wanted to get the attention, which is exactly what. Okay, so what do I think about his contribution? Honestly, I agree with him. I know this isn't asking like me to pick a side or anything, but I agree with him, first of all. But second of all, I think that it like what the teacher said, he like really did speak from the heart. He was passionate about the issue because he was interested. He was like engaging, which I think is good. I think he should do that for things he's not interested in as well, just because that's how school works. But um, yeah, I think it came from his heart. It came straight from his heart, like the teacher said, like Miss Stovall said. Um, it came from his heart. He cared. He was passionate about the topic, and he was very respectful. He was so respectful. I mean, he was showing so much disrespect to the teacher and to the other people in the class, making them uncomfortable with this whole hat thing. But then a few minutes later, literally the same day, just a few minutes after that, he was talking. He was being so respectful. Like, people were giving opposite opinions from him, and then he got the frog tossed to him or whatever. So he started talking and giving his opinion, and he did it in such a respectful way. And I think that was awesome. And that's why it came from his heart, because he seems like he has a huge heart. He just doesn't know how to use it, or show it, I guess. About him as a student, I think it shows that about him as a student that if he's interested in something, he's a great student. He's so capable of being a good student, but he needs to not pick and choose when he's interested and only try and be engaging in the material if he's interested in it. And I know it's hard and I know it sucks that like if you're not interested in it, but like everybody goes through that. It's not just him. Like it's not like he's the only one struggling with it. How is he capable of he's capable of engaging. You know, he knew his research. He did his research and knew the situation on the police brutality thing. So like he's perfectly capable of going home and instead of reading a news article or watching a video, go read a news article or watch a video on how to on a book. Like even if you're not gonna read the book, go watch a video on the books. Just something to educate yourself on the material that you're doing in that class. Um, like at least just the bare minimum. Like it shows that he's capable of engaging and of using the material, but he only picks and chooses when it's interesting to him. That he chooses, okay, now I'll respond and now I will engage and be active in class. Whereas if he's not interested, he won't really be active like that. How would you use his response to the situation to get similar? So, like, to get similar participation in activity from him in the future, I would try to apply the material to things that do interest him. So, like, I know, like, a lot of people have talked about, like, if they're really interested in a sport, like, then professors or teachers will, like, take, like, a math concept and apply it to a sport. And by applying it to that sport, they're more interested in it, then they can understand it better. And for him, like I think that's not really understanding the material that is his problem because he seems very intelligent. He seems brilliant. He's just not choosing to show it because he doesn't educate himself on the things he needs to educate himself on by doing his homework and doing his part of it, so that in class he can engage and be active in the classroom. So by maybe applying it to like a sport that he likes, like the information, or like by applying it to like a similar world situation that's going on, or just whatever it may be. And I think the key to making this happen is the next question. I think that this is number 6, by the way. What is the key to making that happen? I think just like getting to know him on a more personal level and like making him feel like he's not just the young black kid that screws around in class. Like he is a person. He does have interests outside of school. Like he's obviously interested in the whole police brutality thing. And he's obviously interested in the media because he said that he saw it in the media. So just like getting to know his hobbies, his likes, his interests as a person, like as a human being outside of school. I think that's the key, because if you don't know what he's interested in, then how are you supposed to how are you supposed to even apply the material to him in a different way, like present it to him in a different way if you don't know what that way is because you don't know what he's interested in. What has she done to get that out of Keyshawn? She seems to like ask him questions that like apply more to him, I guess. Like she seems to like also I think that she just like simple this is a more simple thing, like very more base level thing. But she also like throws him the frog. The speaking frog or whatever. When she throws it to him or like gives it to him, like she's like, okay, you're important, I want to hear what you have to say. And I think that that's important, like just kind of like relating it to him, like because she thinks that he would have an opinion on it, I guess. But what has she done? I guess like just giving him the chance to speak, and like telling him that he can be honest about it, and like valuing his opinion, making him feel like he has an important opinion, and it is important opinion, just like everybody else's. But like making sure he understands that it's important and that it's valued. When talking number 7, what would you say to those people who would blame Mrs. Sarwell for him not doing his work? I would say that it has nothing, like, yeah, I think that she needs to do some stuff better just because she's not really working with him as well as she could be because of, like, the questions we've talked about, and I've already answered how I think she could do stuff better, or, like, discipline better and stuff. But I think that, again, at the end of the day, it's not the teacher can't get the A's. The teacher can present the information. The teacher can set up the whole Sunday for the student. All the student has to do is do their little bit of effort, lift their arm up, pick up a cherry, put the cherry on top. Sunday's made. That's the A. Like, and he's not doing that. So she can set it up all she wants. And again, I think that she could do a little bit better job of setting it up for him, just a little bit. But at the end of the day, she can't get the A for him. That's not her job. That's not her responsibility. She literally cannot do it if she wanted to. Because that's, like, illegal. You can't just do the homework for the kid and, like, participate in everything. So that's what I would say to people who would blame her. Talk to them about Kishan. I just think that he's not willing to put in the effort, and he always says it's like because it's like why try, because a few years down the road I'm gonna fail anyway. But I would just tell them about the whole self-prophecy thing. Like, if he's gonna think like that, that's exactly what's gonna happen. Because if he's not even gonna believe in himself, how does he expect anybody else to believe in him and to be able to work with him if he's not even gonna work with himself? So I think that she's willing to work with him. He's not willing to work with her, or not as willing as. So she's giving, he's taking, and he's not giving back. And I think that both need to be giving and both need to be taking in order for it to work and for him to succeed. But she's giving and not getting anything back from him. So I don't think that you can say this is her fault because she's putting the effort in, she's trying, he's not. And without a two-way effort, a two-way streak thing, then it's like it's not gonna happen. He's not gonna succeed. He's not gonna get the A or the B or even the C or whatever it is. I think they need to focus their attention on. So those people, I think you guys need to focus your attention on not making excuses for him, holding him to higher standards, just like Miss Stovall is holding him to high expectations. Even when he is obviously proving to not be meeting those expectations, I think that it's still important to hold him to those, just like every other student is being held to those, because he's no different. He's the same as every other student. He may look different, but that has nothing to do with his capabilities, and he is not believing in himself, so he's not succeeding. And if he wants to succeed and he wants to get the A or whatever grade he wants, then he needs to realize he's capable, and he knows he's capable. He needs to just show it. He needs to put in the effort. My pet peeves is people who have never taught commenting on teachers, whether it be talk show hosts or politicians, or even usually being quite negative. They have never worked with a student like Ishan, and 95% of teachers I work with are like Miss Stovall. What is your attitude right now about teaching? Okay, about teaching right now, I think that I'm doing a video game. Yeah, I was gonna get you some, but I was on the phone and I just completely forgot. I'm so sorry. Do you want a drink of mine? Do you like it?
What is it?
Coconut caramel mocha.
Oh,
Say hello to my professor.
Hello.
They're not on there right now. I'm taking a video. I don't know if he's gonna watch it all because he's got a lot of videos to watch. But what? Yeah, I probably shouldn't start tea over the video.
What are you telling me? Close it on the washroom. So I can do mine.
Yes, will you put mine in the... Well, can you just listen?
I'm going upstairs. I'm going upstairs.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm not super close watching, but whenever I go get it, I'll tell you. Okay. So my attitudes about teaching right now are definitely, like, the same. Like, I hate when people... I just despise when people say things like, I have never even taught before by myself, so I don't even have the right to fully judge another teacher. Like, I can judge the little things, and I think everybody can judge the little things that have to just do with, like, somebody as a person, but I don't think that they have the right to judge somebody as a teacher very much because, like, you have not been in the situation. Like, I haven't even been in the situation, so I don't even know, like, I mean, like, I've student taught, and even in high school, like, I was teaching the younger the lower Spanish classes because the teacher was really bad. So I literally just went in during my study hall and taught Spanish class. Um, and honestly, that during my field hours, that's what I was doing too. The teacher didn't really know Spanish very well, and it was kind of like a temporary teacher. And they needed help in the Spanish program, so I was like, okay, I'll go teach Spanish classes. So that's what I did. um, but my point is that like if you haven't been a teacher, you can't judge a teacher as much as many people do. I think everybody's taught something in their life, not necessarily in a school, but just taught somebody how to do something. So everybody's kind of a teacher in life in general. So everyone can judge a little bit, but like not on like a basis of like how they are as a teacher, like in a school. Um, my attitude right now about teaching though, this is a very general question, but like I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm so passionate, and these videos have me so passionate, and I'm like, I just feel so good. I'm really excited. And I know it's going to be hard. I know it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I know it's rarely sunshine and rainbows, but I know those sunshine and rainbow moments are going to make everything worth it. And it's going to be such a rewarding thing. I've always said I wanted to do a career where I could help people in a very direct way. I don't want to be the one like answering the phone calls while somebody else does the work. I want to be the one like on the front lines doing it, changing lives in a very direct way. And I always thought, okay, that's a missionary. That's a doctor, that's a nurse, that's like something like that. But then I was like, okay, no, I don't want to do the medical field. And then I realized that like, yeah, physical health like is important, but honestly I think mental health is just as important as physical health, if not more, like when it comes to like people being okay. And like being able to help someone in a mental health type of way, I feel like is so honestly so much more important than being able to help them in a physical health kind of way. Because like if your physical health is bad, like yeah, you're miserable, but like that also affects your mental health too. So like if your mental health is good, you could be dying, and like the happiest people you see are like in horrible physical health, but they're so happy because their mental health is good. Like people in third world countries, people that are dying of cancer, people who are in the hospital not knowing if they're gonna make it, like whatever it may be. Sometimes they have like such good their mental health is in such a positive state despite their physical situation that like they're still so happy. Like where somebody who's so happy or so healthy, the healthiest person in the world, could have a really bad mental state and like not be living a high quality life at all. So I think that like by teaching, you're kind of like a little bit of everything. You're kind of a nurse, you're kind of a counselor, you're kind of a parent, you're kind of like everything mixed into one. And I'm excited to do that. Like I could never pick like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? And then I was like, wait, teaching is all these things in one. Like, and the most influential people in my life, most of the really influential people that I've had in my life have been my teachers. So yeah, but my future students, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to meet them. I'm so excited to discipline them and show them who's boss. I'm so excited to love them. I'm so excited to, especially kindergartners. Like I love young kids, so I'm excited for my future students. How hard do you think you will work as a teacher? I will work my butt off. I'm one of those people who, if I'm going to do something, I'm either going to do it 0 or 100. I'm either just going to completely BS it and just like not even try, or I'm going to do it 100%. And I know that's so bad that the times where I just 0% it, but especially when I care about something, like I will do it the best anybody has ever done it. Like, and I will make sure of that. So I think I will work so hard because I'm so passionate about it and I'm so excited, and I think that these kids are going to be my world, just like the kids at my work right now are, and I will do anything to get them to succeed. So I will work very, very hard. I will work as much as it takes, without compromising my own happiness or healthiness or like health. What would you say to someone who might be negative toward teaching and outward? Wait, what? What would you say to someone who might be negative toward your teaching and the outcomes of your students? Okay, so I know, like, okay, so if somebody is negative towards my teaching, what I would say to them is I would ask them what their problems are first, because if maybe I am doing something wrong, maybe I'm not even realizing. So I want to be aware of the issues that are going on, if they are going on. So I would ask them to be honest with me and tell them what they have a problem with, and I would want to hear all about it. Then I would ask them what I can do better, like, or how they think I can change it. Then I feel like if they don't have a solution, then they don't really have the right to be talking about it, and they don't really have the right to be bringing it up to me. Because if they really care about it, like, they will try to think of a solution, or they will work with me to find one if they don't already have one. So I think that I will ask them how, if they were in my shoes, what they would do instead. And then by doing that, I can either find some insight on how I could be doing better, or because my goal is to always be as best as I could be, I hopefully will be doing that anyway. And then I can say like, okay, like this is how I see it. Thank you for your input, but I can't do it how you're saying it instead because this and that. But I will try to be more aware of it, and I will try to help your student or whatever it may be. It's important for us to be as prepared as possible to provide. Telling you of that reality. If you prepare yourself really well and work your you know what off, how would you feel about the criticism of people? So if I'm working my you know what off and I am preparing myself well, like what I just said, like I want to strive to always 100% of the time, if at all possible, be 100%, be my best, do my best. And I think that in order to do that, you have to get feedback and you have to um, like see how things are working and what is and what isn't working. You have to like take a look at it and break it down and kind of like figure out if it's working or not. And so I think part of this is people giving their input. Um, so like if they were giving like input, like healthy criticism, like I'd be totally fine with it, and like I would really, as I might not want to hear it, but I know I would need to hear it. But if they're just getting criticism and they've never taught before, and it's not like out of like a helpful place or like a healthy criticism, like sort of intention, like then I would honestly just be very like frustrated. I would be angry. However, I would use that as motivation because I know I couldn't misrepresent the school and say anything to them in a rude way. I would be always be professional about things, and I would always be respectful about things. Um, but I would not be happy about it. Into the student. Okay.
We've already talked about the fact that you were such a leader in the class, and your mood and your energy has a huge impact on how
I kind of take back some things I just said about her because I didn't watch up to here, but she just took time with him and like seemed effective. So I guess the student that she's talking about um, got kind of took a wrong turn. I don't know when. Sounds like during or before high school even, and he ended up getting killed because of gang violence. Because he was hanging out with the wrong people and stuff and not on a good path. That's number one.
and I don't want to carry that with me. So when I have a kid like Keyshawn, who sometimes not at all like this kid, I've not seen any violent tendencies, but I don't want to get a phone call from his mom saying this, and I can't do that with one of your kids. It's not this.
School. So I guess when she went to the school, she was put in classes and so she couldn't handle them. She got moved to like a certain group of kids that like were like the troubled kids. It sounded like, um, and she had a really bad experience because they just always were telling them what they were doing wrong. They never like supported them or told them what they were doing right. They always would like tell them that they weren't going to succeed because of this and that, and that they like weren't as good as the other students and whatever they said. Um, and that like really hurt her, and it kind of made it so like she said it was easy to believe. So it seemed like she probably didn't really have much hope for her as a student or as a person because that's all she was being told from the other people. How would that shape my thoughts about school and schooling? I think that that kind of just shows like whatever you're feeding to a kid's brain, like this is like there's the whole self prophecy thing where like whatever they're telling themselves, that's what they're gonna achieve or not achieve based on their mindset, to be able to achieve like some sort of self achievement. But I also think that like especially in high school, like I said this in my other video for episode 1, but like if a student isn't being encouraged, like they can try so hard to push out everybody's opinions, but at the end of the day, they're high schoolers. They're finding their identity in so many ways at this age, this adolescence age, and if they're not being supported by somebody or they're not being encouraged or motivated or inspired or like being told that they can do it and believed in, then they're not going to believe in themselves either. Like, and I know that it's so important for them to believe in themselves, but it's so important, equally as important for the other people to believe in them as well. Because if nobody's believing in you and nobody's encouraging you and motivating you, how are you supposed to believe and encourage and motivate yourself? So I think that it's so much that it's just that much more important to motivate those students, that aren't being motivated in other aspects of their life or by other people in other aspects of their life, because then at least they'll believe in themselves in school and maybe hopefully they can carry that over to the other aspects of life where nobody else is believing in them. Answer each and every question. What is the role or responsibility of the school in terms of students' behavior, motivation, attitude, etc.? I think it's the school needs to have like lay down the rules like in some sort of handbook, and if a teacher can't deal with it in okay, yeah, if for whatever reason the teacher can't handle that situation because of whatever reason, then the school needs to step in, like the administrators need to step in and they need to examine the rules, look at the handbook, whatever, and figure out what the consequence is going to be for that action. If it's like beyond the teacher's jurisdiction and or too much for the teacher to handle on their own for whatever reason. Kind of like Miss Stovall or like Miss Stovall, like she said something about how the student would be violent. I feel like once that student becomes violent, then that's beyond her jurisdiction. That's like beyond her abilities to discipline. Because she's not a she's not like a first responder. She's not a police officer. She's not a she doesn't work in a detention center. Like she's not supposed to be dealing with violent students as part of her job. So I feel like it's beyond her control. And so like, okay, that's the teachers, not the school, but whatever. Okay, what is the responsibility of students relatives. But yeah, okay, so for student behavior, the school is supposed to motivate by like having some like school sort of spirit or pride, or like maybe calling out students who do something good, like putting like achieve students that are like doing well, not just in grades but like in other aspects of life, like acknowledging them to the whole school, like over the intercom, maybe for morning announcements, or like on a bulletin board somewhere in the school or something, um, which will hopefully make them have a more positive attitude about being there. The relatives, I think that they need to teach them good behavior and like obedient behavior, but not like naive behavior either. But just like obedient and like respectful behavior outside of school, so that they'll carry that over to inside of school, and be like more obedient to the teachers and get along with other students well and be more tolerant of other people and stuff. Motivation, I think, for the relatives, that they need to encourage the students at home and they need to be there side by side with them, like they need to work with them, not just watch them work. And that they can like motivate them and have them. I think that gives them like encouragement, motivation to like know that they're not alone, even when like at school they don't feel alone because everybody's there. But like they come home and they just feel like they're all alone in their homework and their studies and stuff. Where like the relatives can like be there with them and like try to help them out on an assignment once in a while, or like listen to them read their paper and tell them their feedback, or just like be more engaged with it to like help their attitude be more positive towards like achieving things, because like they're proud of them, and then also because just like so they don't feel like alone, so like it helps motivate them to like do well in at home as well as in school. The parents, okay, so the parents I think is the same as the relatives, honestly, but maybe just a little more in that. So I think that they need to motivate the students by like being there with them, helping them with their homework. Sometimes they're like just even sitting there while they're doing their homework, asking like, "What are you learning?" Like just be more engaged with them. I think that they also really need to be the main ones teaching good behavior at home. And then if it carries over into the school, like relatives can be an example of it at home, but parents, if bad behavior of any sort is happening at home or at school, like at school only, then the parents need to be stepping in then. Whereas like just other relatives don't really step in, but like the parents need to be stepping in for in and out of school bad behavior. Um, yeah, and they also need to like tell them that they're proud of them and stuff, because like there's nothing better than like making your parents proud. Like um even like if you don't get along with your parents, it's such a good feeling as a kid to make your mom or dad proud, um mom and or dad proud, and like have then like so by telling them that they're doing a good job, by telling them you're proud of them, that like makes their attitude and outlook towards themselves, towards school in general, like and everything better and more positive. As a What are you doing to be the best teacher possible for your most difficult students? I am working on patience. I have never been a patient person, until like high school and stuff. Um, Sorry, my doctor stuff. So I have never really been patient in most aspects of life. I've never been patient with people I'm close with, because I know that I'm close with them, so they're gonna love me no matter what. But so I think that's something that I've worked on a lot in the past like 5-6 years or so. It's just patience. Patience with myself is big too. Patience with other people that I'm close with, that I'm not close with. Patience with people that are not like me in their way of thinking, in their way of doing whatever it may be. So I think patience is something that I have been working on and am still always going to be working on, to be as patient as I can with students, because I think that with these difficult students, effort is a huge thing, and I know I can put in the effort and the hard work any day. I know that I can do that. I always have been able to do that without a problem, but my problem has always been patience with myself and with other people. So that's something that I've been working on for a long time, and that's something that I've grown a lot with, and that's something that I plan to keep growing in every day until I'm a teacher, and then even when I am a teacher, so I can be the best possible student teacher for these difficult students. Are you ever a difficult student? Honestly, like I don't think I'm really that difficult of a student. I think the biggest thing I do is like I don't think I am, because like when I'm honest about stuff, like the other day I had a bio lab and I was just so tired. It's been such a long week. My coffee. I was so tired, and I had a bio lab, and I was sitting there doing it for 6 hours, and it was a lot of tedious counting. And if I messed up, I was counting like 100 at a time of these little beans or whatever. And I was so tired that I would count and I would get thrown off by one number, and then the whole entire lab would get messed up. And it took me 6 hours and like 3 or 4 times of restarting the entire thing just to be able to get it. And then by like the after like 6 hours, it was like an hour till it was even due. And I started it like in the afternoon, and then like 6 o'clock or so, like right after dinner. And I was like, I have plenty of time to do it right before 11:59. That's like 6 hours. There's no way it can take that long. And I was literally just so tired that I couldn't even count. Like I was just not even able to. And I know that like everybody's tired, but I also like I just was sitting here like I'm not gonna turn in bad work. I'm not gonna just kind of settle for doing it poorly and turn it in. So like I think I'm not a problem student because even when I am being a problem student by not turning things in on time, for example, like in this example, I'm honest like with my teachers. Like I was honest with my teacher. I emailed her and I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry, and I know this isn't necessarily the greatest excuse, and I know a lot of people are tired right now, but I'm honestly just so exhausted. And if you can give me an extension for 24 hours for this bio lab, I would appreciate that so much. And if not, then I will accept the consequences. So like I'm very honest and I'm very realistic about stuff. Like realistic about like if I don't get another chance for the lab and I get a zero, I'll get a zero. I'll take it because like I guess I'm like accepting of like I am aware of like this is what I'm doing right, this is what I'm doing wrong, and I'm willing to accept the rewards and the punishments, like the consequences, negative consequences. Um, so I don't think I'm problem student just because even when I do something that's considered like problematic, like not turning something in, like I will communicate about it and I will be honest about it and realistic about it. What would you say to Keyshawn's mom about her responsibility as a student? So I think as her responsibility as a student is like she just has to like try hard, like she had to work and stuff, and like it didn't seem like she did at first, and then like also like a big responsibility as a student. Oh yeah, as a student, okay. Is that she had to like believe in herself, and I know that it's hard to believe in yourself when nobody else is, but like you got to demand this respect and the standards that you want to be held to and receive, and like, and it didn't seem like she was doing that. It seemed like she was just kind of giving in and like became a problem student because of it. Well, not because of it, but like she wasn't like trying to not be. It seemed like, and I know it's so hard. I don't know. I can't imagine how hard it is to be constantly being told that you're a problem student, you're not going to make it, whatever. But at the end of the day, like you got to be strong for yourself, and you got to be like you have to demand from those teachers telling you that like that you have to demand that respect. You have to earn their respect, and it didn't seem like she was really interested in doing that. I guess as a parent now, I think that she needs to help step in with Keyshawn more than she is. It doesn't seem like she's doing too much from the video. Obviously, I can't see what's going on behind the scenes, but from the video at least, I feel like it doesn't show her doing really anything about it, and she just kind of like not defended him, but she was like giving him excuses a little bit. It was maybe Constance defending him, but she was like, I know Keyshawn's a character. I know he can be a clown, like whatever she said, and like she was just like saying, I know this, and this. I just wish the teachers would give him more chances and stuff. But it's like, no, like don't defend him. He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. That's on him, not the teachers. And so I think that I would tell her that as a parent, she needs to like love him and everything and support him, but don't defend him when he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. What would you say to Keyshawn's mom about how you are preparing to take on responsibility to drive? I would say that I'm preparing by, again, like I said, like just working on patience, and by just doing classwork, as in like stuff like this, for example, like I think that this is a good way of preparing because it's making me think of like, okay, if I had that student, what would I do? So I think just by doing schooling, obviously, I'm preparing, and then just by like working on patience, like with myself and with other people, that's what I'm doing to prepare to take on responsibility as a teacher through my own learning. And then also, what would you do to prepare yourself to be the best teacher possible? What am I doing? Again, this is like the same thing, but what I'm doing to prepare myself to be the best teacher possible to help somebody like Keyshawn at whatever level I'm going to teach and whatever subject I'm going to teach. I'm going to teach kindergarten, hopefully, or just elementary in general, somewhere in there. But again, this is like the same answer for all my questions, but I'm just working on patience, and I have been for a long time now, and I think you can always be more patient because everybody has their moments where they slip up and aren't as patient as they could be. And I'm just working on that still and have been for a long time. And that's how I'm preparing to be the best teacher possible to help someone like Keyshawn who takes a lot of patience and effort, but I know I can do the effort. I've never had a problem with giving effort. It's just getting being patient. Okay, how many questions are we at?
We would sometimes sit in some of these classrooms and not even do work. And the teacher would say, well, no, you're not going to learn anyway. So we're just going to sit here for anything. They didn't say anything.
Credence, acceptance, belief, faith, trust. Okay. Describe what happened to Kishan's mom and last April. Or no. His mom says that the classroom labeled motivational classroom was prepping you for jail. This is as a term. This is a term for this is referred to as a school to jail pipeline. Experience lend credence to her thinking or that pipeline. So it seems like okay, so that obviously wasn't the motivational classroom. So stupid, honestly, that's a joke. It's like I hate society sometimes. But it seems like that's like where the bad kids go that like have a tendency to do things that will get them in jail one day. That everybody kind of just gave up on. It's like kind of like the room where like it seems like it's kind of like the place where like when teachers give up on students and when students give up on themselves combined, then they go to this place and it's just like where they hang out all day. And it's just kind of like they're like locked in there, like not really allowed to do anything else. And she compares it to jail. So her experience was like it was like they were prepping her like they were she said that like they never believed in her anyway and they just like said you're never gonna learn, you're never gonna be anything, blah blah blah. So like it's just like I think that she's realizing that when people get put in that room, it's kind of like how they told her but like it was kind of like putting them in the classes that she was in, but now that's not allowed kind of thing because of like society and rules and stuff. So they made it a motivational center and put a positive sounding label on it when really it's just like preparing them for jail or like preparing them to fail, and nobody believing in them, just like what happened to her.
As a junior, I had 13 houses. I hope this table's coming. That's how
Her last day at Oak Park was her junior year. She went on the elevator anyway after being told she wasn't supposed to because she had an injury and she really wasn't able to like go up the stairs easily and whatever. And she really needed the elevator, but they told her that you will get nothing or you will not get that or whatever. Like I will give you no such thing. Um, I think that maybe because she had a connotation of being a problem student in the first place, like maybe the nurse or like the office worker that denied her that access, I think that like I could see where they're coming from a little bit, in that if she was in with all the problem students, then she might have just been saying that to get the elevator pass. So I do understand that, but I don't think that they did enough to prove, they didn't do anything to prove that she was capable of going up the stairs. Um, yeah, and so I think that like I do think that she could have, should have, would have had like a doctor's note or something. She should have done that. But at the end of the day, they weren't understanding about it or whatever. And I'm assuming, I can't say this for sure, but this is obviously not really right to say it for sure. But if it was a white student or like a student that wasn't a problem student, I bet they would have been a lot more lenient and they would have been a lot more empathetic. And whether it was the same outcome or not, they probably would have been nicer about it. I don't know for that for sure, but that's just what I'm assuming based off the context of this thing. So I have negative feelings about it. I don't think that that was right. But well, and then I guess like the police officer, like she like lifted up her shirt a little bit to show the police officer that was like her security guard or whatever her staples, to prove to him like I am injured. I did just have a surgery and I do need the elevator. He like accused her of like doing something inappropriate and like trying to start something inappropriate. How would I have reacted in the same situation as a worker? I would have not made it to it, put it into an extreme. I would have sat down and like actually talked to her about it. Whether she was a problem student or not, it would have been harder to believe her as a problem student for sure, if that's like what her like label was and like her notation, like connotation was in school. But I think that I would have definitely not handled it like that. I would have just been more patient with her. I would have I would have probably asked for her for a doctor's note. And if I maybe would have asked her like, depending on where it was or if it was like appropriate or not, like to see her injury, or I would have like called her mom or something to get some sort of proof that she really was injured. And like if she had to take if worst came to worst, she took the elevator for a couple days till she could get a doctor's note, and she didn't need it. Oh darn! Like there's a girl in the elevator that wasn't supposed to be there. Like oh well. I know that bad things could happen, like and stuff like that, but like there's I don't know. I just think what's the worst that yes, really bad things can happen when there's an elevator and like, but there's cameras. I'm assuming if there's no cameras, I don't know. My point is, I would have probably let her. I would have let her use the elevator. Obviously, I wasn't in the situation, but based off the context I'm given, I would have probably let her use the elevator, and then but made her get a doctor's note. And if worst came to worst, she just took the elevator for a few days when she really didn't need it. Oh darn. Take stairs from now on. Like, yeah, but then she got kicked out of Oak Park because of the whole lifting up her shirt thing. Or not Oak Park. Yeah. Okay. Going to go eat dinner.